Hey, this is Jason from Two Sides of Phi, and today I'm coming to you with something a little different. A bit of an experiment, to be honest with you, and it's definitely unscripted, as you'll be able to tell. I'm recording this in my room at a guest house in Labruge in Portugal, which is near the coast. I hiked here today from Porto, about 14 and a half miles, if I recall correctly. And I'm recording my thoughts, my experiences so far on day one of my Camino Portugués, which is the Portuguese route. That is one of the many Caminos that make up the Camino de Santiago network. All of the routes end up eventually in Santiago, Spain, Santiago de Compostela, which is in the northwest corner of Spain. Why am I doing this? Great question. A longer answer could be found on my blog about the subject, which you can find at twosidesofphi.com/Camino, that's C-A-M-I-N-O. But a short answer would be, I retired 3.5 years ago. I've done a lot of things in that time, most of which I've talked about on Two Sides of Phi, the channel I share with my good friend Eric. And one of those things has been taking very long walks, 10, 20, even 30 miles at a time. And those have been, honestly, one of the most revealing things I've done since retiring from my 25-year career in biotech. And, I became kind of infatuated with the Camino and this idea of self-exploration, discovery, and really just felt the calling, as some people call it, to take on one of these routes. And in my case, that means walking probably 13 days in a row. I've got an extra day built into my schedule in case I need to, divert from that plan for any reason, but an average of 12 miles a day to reach my end goal, which I think is about 165 or 70 miles, depending upon how I kind of go. On these kinds of trips, you have a framework and then there's reality. So far so good. I'm on schedule for day one. So what's it like? I have a backpack. It is full of everything I need, which is mostly clothes and toiletries and some electronics. Not very much, honestly. About 15 pounds, and I've written about this already. I apologize if I say that more than once. I have written a number of blog posts about this that you may find much more revealing than me kind of going over that without any preparation. I'd more like to talk about what the walk has been like, since many people ask and many people are interested in Caminos. I set out this morning in Porto. I left the hostel I'd been staying at for 2 days. The first day I just explored Porto and tried to get accustomed to the time zone change, which of course is severe in the case of 8 hours from California. But this morning I set out in earnest, put my backpack on, walked out the door and headed over to the cathedral in Porto, which is the local start of the Camino Portugués. Some people do opt to start farther south in Lisbon, but that route isn't as well developed. So I started in Porto and started at the cathedral, walked down to the river Douro. You may have heard of the famous wine region in the Douro Valley in Portugal. Walked along the Douro and then eventually met the sea and basically kept the sea on my left, walked along the shore until I reached this town that I'm in now, which is Labruge, which is the first place I'm staying. So what was it like? I think it went well. It was lovely weather today, full sun, temperatures in the high 50s if I had to guess. I haven't looked at the weather today. The pack felt okay. The walk was good. Honestly, I think the few things struck me. The first was just the feeling of excitement stepping out the door this morning and beginning in earnest, a feeling that only grew once I actually reached the cathedral and took off from there. I did see a fellow pilgrim a few steps ahead of me at the start marker, and I gave the traditional Bom Camino, which is Portuguese, and I should apologize for any mispronunciations. I already said bom wrong. You're not supposed to close your mouth when you say the ending, but it just means, have a good Camino, or in Spanish, buen camino, which is what I'll be saying once I cross the border north and am using a language I'm slightly more comfortable with. But anyway, it was really nice to just be greeted right from the start and know that there was somebody else on the journey. I mean, walking is walking at the end of the day. It's just a thing you do. And I've done long walks before, and I would say at the start this felt very much the same. It's just another one of my walks. But, as I continued on, as I made my first stop for breakfast and noticed there were other pilgrims, as they're called, peregrinos in Spanish, just a little wave or someone saying bon camino. It just, raised a feeling in me, just a little feeling of community that I was surprised to experience so early. And I find myself looking forward to seeing the traditional scallop shell that many walking the Camino hang on their backpack, and then, being the first one to wish them a good Camino and, see the smile in return and somebody saying thanks or obrigado in Portuguese. And, it was just a nice thing, and it carried through lunch where I was near this nice beach, and I probably saw 6 or 7 pilgrims walk by either on the beach or behind me on the road and gave kind of a knowing nod or a wave, and, it was just a nice thing. And, the rest of the walk went on well. Eventually got to the guest house. I'm staying here. This is one of my private lodgings that I have on the route. I haven't pre-booked many things, really just at the ends of the trip or where housing options are limited. Most times I plan to be staying in a hostel, whether a private hostel, which is a traditional kind of shared, bunk bed kind of rooms, run by a private establishment, but also will be staying in municipal hostels, which are called albergues in Spanish. And we'll see how that goes. But today's a bit of a treat. I'm staying in this lovely place and immediately was greeted by the host. It was really just a very welcoming engagement. Felt great at the end of a day, 14 and a half miles of hiking. And then shortly thereafter, I met another person walking the way. This was a 28-year-old from Lithuania, super bright guy, works in education. He was just a fascinating character, invited me to dinner, had a really nice dinner, some crazy mammoth sandwich that is a big deal around here, and a few beers, of course, and eventually met another person staying in the guest house who we joined for a drink as well, someone who lives in California like myself, and that was good conversation. And now, 9 p.m. or so, we're all back at our rooms getting ready for tomorrow. And I thought this is a good opportunity to reflect, right? What have I experienced so far? I've been jotting down notes when I stop lately, for a meal or something like that. And so, I typed those up the last couple days, but I thought I might try this type of recording. I'm not really sure what the audience is for it. There are certainly people who search YouTube for Camino videos. Two Sides of Fi viewers or blog readers have asked me to share my thoughts and experiences, and so maybe a video format would be better suited for that. I'm not really sure, but leave me feedback if you have thoughts either way or questions you'd like to see me address. As for tomorrow, it's going to be a bit of a longer day. I think 17, 18 miles, depending on how the route goes. I'll actually finish my time on what is known as the littoral route, which is Litoral. That has to do with being on the seashore. And I'll move inward into the central route, as it's called, which is the main Camino Portugués, which I'll walk on for most of the remainder of the time. Again, I've written about this already, so you can have a look at that if you want to see a map and any more information. But I'm looking forward to tomorrow. I have the aches that you expect after carrying a backpack for a day, but I have been training and I've really worked out my footwear, and so I'm glad that part is going well. But my knees and hips are reminding me that I'm 50 and I'm carrying extra weight on myself and a pack, which even though it's light at 15 pounds, it all adds up. So I'm happy to be seated, happy to be back in my room, organizing my backpack, but also eager to get back on the path. I'm hoping for good weather. I haven't checked the forecast. I know more rain is expected later this week, but I'm hopeful that tomorrow will be another nice day. It's certainly cool to be on the shore and have time with your thoughts and have the sun on you. It's just a very positive experience. I think so far, it's a start of a walk like any I've done before, but it's going to become something different. And I am eager to see what walking the Camino is going to deliver to me. I wouldn't say I'm setting out to receive great answers and bits of wisdom that the universe will deliver to me, but I would say I'm open to whatever is to come. I'm not entirely sure why I've been drawn to this journey, but I'm excited that I'm on it. I know I'm going to learn things about myself and potentially make some nice connections with other humans doing the same thing. So I guess I'll leave it there. I don't think I should belabor this anymore, but let me know if you think this format is interesting or not. And if you have any questions about being on the Camino or things I might be thinking about that maybe I neglected to mention here. But I'll leave you with one story. And this really impacted me this morning. It actually caused me to leave about a half an hour later than I expected. I was down in the breakfast room at the hostel waiting for 8 a.m., which is when I could get a nice coffee before I left. And I met a young German man. I'll use a name I've made up here. Let's call him Hans. And he was very eager to introduce himself. He was very polite and interested in what I had to say, and he was excited to learn that I was traveling the Camino. And he and I were exchanging questions and answers. And at some point, I asked him why he had chosen to walk this, and he said, "Well, a friend of his is doing it, and he wanted to join him." And he elaborated and talked about his experience, his past. He said, 10 difficult years with drug abuse and some other bad decisions. And eventually he had taken a very nice trip with a friend to Italy, didn't have really much money, but enjoyed himself seeing the sights and just walking the city. And at some point he decided to just start walking away, walk out of the city. And he found himself 3 days later with, his feet feeling pretty bad. He didn't have the right shoes. He had run out of the little funds he had, and was relying on the generosity of others to help give him some, fruits and vegetables to basically keep him going. He was offering to do work for people to get that. And he was just so struck by the generosity of people and, just the value he got from walking. And he decided to join his friend on this Camino. And I just thought it was just such an engaging start to my own walk, was just to understand why somebody else was taking this journey, and just hearing him talk about how he had turned around his life and how this was going to be a very positive step for him. He apparently has recently signed on for studies in pathology. It sounded like maybe a med tech type program in the US. And he was very excited about that, but was eager to get out on his Camino. He wasn't entirely sure if he had all the right supplies he needed, but he just had such an amazing attitude that it couldn't help but lift my spirits as I headed out on my own today. So, maybe that seems like a little bit of a non sequitur, but quite honestly, it just put my mindset in the right place today. And I expect I won't have that kind of start tomorrow, but I suspect going to bed feeling very good about today and just excited to see what tomorrow brings. So thank you for being here. Let me know what you think about this format. And again, twosidesofphi.com/Camino for the other things I've posted so far, including I'm going to share a link to the route I took today and some of the photos that I gathered there and that I thought would be nice to share. And maybe they give a little more context to what I've said here, because I just have a phone. I can't do any fancy video editing. People who are used to Two Sides of Phi quality, that's all Eric. He's not here. No computer, just a phone. So you got the raw version here. But check out the blog and you'll see some of the photos. And be excellent to yourselves. And I hope to talk to you again soon. Take care.